Coming up, the Twig Man. A mysterious truck. Cursed missions and more. Missing Number starts now. The untamed wilderness in Red Dead Redemption 2 is perfect for adventurers, but should you venture out of bounds, you may encounter the Twig Man. It's a relatively new urban legend about a tall, dark twig-like being that kills you if you step outside of the map. The entity, which is said to be fast and invincible, looks like a tree and can blend in with the environment. It can also teleport, and it's been spotted in Canada above the region of Amberino. It's rumored that the Twig Man was created in Red Dead Online's beta to keep players from glitching out. It's possible that it's either a monster, a placeholder, or just a human NPC that's deformed due to a glitch. Not many people know about the entity, not even in the Red Dead community, and there's very few images and videos of it, but the photographic evidence that exists shows something dark in the distance. The Twig Man was also spotted in the first game. The retail version of Red Dead Redemption 2 does have a system in place that prevents players from entering New Austin before a certain point in the narrative is reached. Should you prematurely step foot in the region, a sniper will shoot and kill you.
What the hell? Come on!
Additionally, some non-player characters do spawn underneath the map during certain points in the game. What's more, Red Dead is chock full of weird and creepy things like a ghost, a feral man, and alien rock paintings. The latter kind of looks like the Twig Man, as do the decomposed human bodies. So the notion that something can kill you if you step out of bounds is not completely ridiculous. However, the Twig Man in particular is ostensibly a hoax. It seems to have originated from 3 TikTok accounts in 2023. One of the account owners left a comment on a Twig Man Reddit post claiming that they were friends with one of the accounts that created the urban legend. The idea of the monster came up during a PlayStation party at 4 AM, where there was a horrible idea to gaslight the entire Red Dead community. The Twig Man videos were then uploaded and got tons of likes. While some started to believe in the rumor, others were far from convinced. The Twig Man is most likely fake, but the videos showing NPCs popping in and out of existence may be real. It could be a glitch where the game is trying to load characters into the world. If you like this video so far, be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell icon for notifications. If you have any gaming myths, mysteries, oddities, or Easter eggs, be sure to let me know. You can also check out my other YouTube channel and watch me live on Twitch. The links are in the video description. Now back to the show. This truck is arguably the most notorious and mysterious truck in video game history. It can be found in Pokemon Red and Blue near the SS Anne ship in Vermilion City. What makes the truck unusual is that it doesn't appear anywhere else in the games. It's also off-screen, making it easy to miss. Getting to the truck is also tricky, since it requires using exploits before you reach a certain point in Red and Blue. Perhaps these are the reasons why it was rumored that an incredibly rare and powerful mythical Pokemon called Mew was hiding underneath the truck. Mew is mentioned in in-game journal entries, but it's never seen. During the late 90s to early 2000s, playground rumors swirled that Mew could be caught. This rumor spread like wildfire from the US to Australia to Denmark. Even people that lived in areas without the internet heard about the rumor. To capture Mew, you allegedly needed the surf ability to swim to the strip of land where the truck was, and then have the strength ability to move the truck itself. The problem was that by the time you learned surf, the SSN would depart, causing the harbor where the truck was located to be closed off. To circumvent this problem, players could trade in a Pokemon that already knew surf or cut abilities. Alternatively, players could intentionally lose a battle on the ship, which would prevent the ship from sailing away and closing off the area. There was also a third option that let players use a glitch to literally swim through a sailor blocking the entrance to the harbor. Once these methods were completed, players were finally able to reach the mysterious truck, but when they tried to move it, it wouldn't budge. Additional rumors stated that you also needed a level 100 Machamp, or that the Elite Four needed to be beaten 100 times. There was also another rumor that you needed to catch 150 Pokemon, and then talk to an NPC who would give you a certificate that could be traded in for a Mew. Then there were those that said that keys to the truck could be found in the Game Corner building. If none of these methods worked, you could also buy a Magikarp from a salesman, name it Mew, and then leave the Pokemon at a daycare until it reached level 49. Then at level 50, the Magikarp would transform into the mythical Pokemon. Unfortunately, however, doe-eyed kids everywhere would get their hearts crushed after they learned that the whole thing was a hoax. But it wasn't just some harmless trick. One rumor said that you needed to delete your save file and restart the game, which some actually did. Even though the rumor was a lie, Mew itself was actually a real Pokemon that could be obtained, but only by participating in Nintendo distribution events. Players could also use a cheat device like GameShark to unlock the elusive creature. Astonishingly, however, it was later discovered that a very obscure and complex glitch allowed you to capture Mew without a cheat tool. Unbeknownst to many of the game's developers at Game Freak, Mew was actually secretly added to Red and Blue, or Red and Green in Japan, by a programmer named Shigeki Morimoto. However, the idea was conceived by Pokemon's creator Satoshi Tajiri, who wanted to add Mew as a secret that would generate buzz and rumors about the games. In the end, his plan worked, and game sales rose. As a fun nod to the Mew truck myth, later Pokemon games included the truck where healing items were placed next to it. In another game, a character even sang about the urban legend. Meanwhile, someone created arbitrary code for Red and Blue that allowed you to actually move the truck and find Mew underneath it. Imagine if this was shown back in the day. So while Mew was never under the truck, what about the truck itself? Why did Game Freak bother making a one-of-a-kind asset only to place it in an obscure area where most players wouldn't see it? It turns out that the truck was a leftover sprite from an early build of Red and Green. Based on leaked prototype assets, there was originally going to be another town, and it had a truck similar to the one seen here. The town, however, was removed in the final version of the games. For whatever reason, the truck was left behind, possibly as an oversight or as an intentional part of the scenery. Fairly late into Grand Theft Auto San Andreas' main campaign, you'll encounter a man who wants to commit suicide. The person is a rapper named Madd Dogg, and he's on the ledge of a building ready to jump since his career is sinking.
I don't give a fuck no more. My manager got killed, some asshole stole my rhyme book. Shit's rough. All the kids like this Loco G or whatever the fuck his name is, some fake ass gangster rapper bullshit. Liquor's my only friend.
You have to save the artist by parking a pickup truck underneath him so he lands in the back of the vehicle and survives the fall. However, before some players could even do anything, they witnessed this. Madd Dogg immediately jumped to his death, causing the mission to fail. Even when players were able to get to the truck and park it, weird glitches occurred. There were also awkward camera angles showing nothing happening, but then all of a sudden, Madd Dogg would appear in the back of the truck and instantly die.
It's time. I'm gonna do it.
This happened every single time during the mission, and it prevented players from completing the game. While some never encountered any issues, the game-breaking glitch has plagued every version of San Andreas, including the definitive edition. So for over 17 years, the bug was never fixed. It was eventually discovered that the anomaly was due to players activating the Pedestrian Riot cheat code at some point in time. The code caused pedestrians in the game to attack anyone nearby, and because Madd Dogg was programmed as a pedestrian instead of an important NPC, the rapper would walk off the ledge to attack civilians on the ground. However, even when the cheat code was disabled, certain NPCs, like Madd Dogg, would still go haywire and attack anyone on sight. But while the cheat code explanation makes sense, some players said that they never even cheated in the game, and yet, Madd Dogg still jumped to his death. As such, it's not fully known what's going on with this mission in particular. It's almost like it's cursed. According to some people, the only way to fix the issue is to delete your save file and restart the entire game all over again. Some actually did this, but it was painful since the mission is pretty late in the game. Then there are those that just stopped playing the game entirely out of hopelessness and frustration. Thankfully, some have been able to complete the mission by simply reloading a save file or doing other missions. Meanwhile, others used a specific website that allowed them to modify save files to remove the glitch. And then there were those that had to resort to using a complex and time-consuming method that involved using various cheat codes. To complete the mission, players needed to activate slow motion and spawn a jetpack so they could fly up to Madd Dogg to break his fall. They then had to use the recruit and flying car cheats to make him get inside of a car that could then be flown to the roof where Madd Dogg is supposed to jump. Then eventually the rapper would appear on the ledge, and he would fall into the back of the pickup truck and survive like he's supposed to. It's a pretty ingenious workaround.
Goodbye, cruel world!
Came here to save somebody. Alright, get yourself straightened out, then we can get you back in the studio.
Carl,
What?
when I get clean, I'm gonna need a new manager. Thought I might look you up.
Yeah, you do that, homie.
Beating a game is satisfying, but when players finished an N64 game called Chameleon Twist, something appeared on screen that left them scratching their heads. Chameleon Twist is a 1997 platformer where you play as a chameleon who has a tongue that can be used to traverse levels and defeat enemies. Once the game is beaten, a playable white chameleon can be unlocked for the game's story mode. When you replay the campaign with the new character, a star will appear in the corner of the screen. It'll be removed if you get hit just once by an enemy, but should you be skilled enough to not take any damage throughout the entire game, something will appear at the end screen. An 8-character code is displayed, along with the phrase perfect code, which is misspelled as perfect chord. The code is also shown on the title screen, and this time, perfect code is spelt correctly. The reason for the spelling error may be due to the fact that the game was developed in Japan. As for what the code actually does, no one knows, and its purpose has been a mystery for 28 years. The code comprises numbers and letters, and it changes every time you beat the game without getting hit. The most obvious explanation for the code's functionality is that it unlocks something in the game. Chameleon Twist does have secret content, like a boss replay mode and a playable pool minigame, but none of them require a code to unlock. There isn't even a code or password input feature in the game. According to a Chameleon Twist hacker, the game's ranking screen is one of the only times the game reads the code, so maybe your high score has something to do with it. The most popular theory is that the code was meant for a Japanese promotional contest similar to Mario Kart Double Dash. After completing a time trial race in that game, players had to press a button combination that would reveal a code on the screen.
Press L, R, L, R, X, Y, X, Y, Z.
The code would then have to be submitted to Nintendo for a chance to win free Club Nintendo points. The top players would also have their fastest times displayed on Nintendo's official website. As for the code itself, it contained data such as a player's lap time and the characters that the player used. It's worth noting that the Japanese version of Chameleon Twist is different from the international version. The former contains more content, like story mode power-ups and additional gameplay sections. So maybe the perfect code is only used in the Japanese release of Chameleon Twist. The world of Shadow of the Colossus is a huge and mysterious place that's filled with giant monsters. There are 16 of them that you have to slay, and it's all in the hope of resurrecting a girl named Mono. An evil entity called Dorman has the power to revive her, and he helps you on your quest for nefarious reasons. One of the most noticeable things about Shadow of the Colossus is the huge swaths of empty land that you traverse, and over time, rumors circulated about a secret 17th Colossus that was hiding in the game. In order to find it, you allegedly had to beat the game on all 4 difficulty settings, including the time trials. You then had to scale a very tall structure called the Shrine of Worship, which required high grip and stamina. Once you climbed high enough, there was a secret garden you could enter where the 17th Colossus would appear in a cutscene. The creature, which resembled a boar, would smash through a wall, and the only way to defeat it was to trick it by making it fall into a hole. Once it was defeated, a path would appear that would lead all the way to the top of the temple, above the secret garden, where a special surprise awaited. Another variation of the rumor said that after beating all 4 difficulty modes, you had to travel across a bridge that was shown in the game's intro cutscene. However, it took 8 minutes to traverse, and once at the end, the 17th Colossus would smash through a rock wall and chase you. You would then be forced to run across the bridge again, but if you managed to defeat the monster, you could meet Mono and Dorman at the top of the temple before a cutscene played. Meanwhile, there were other rumors that the secret Colossus was a dragon that was located in a normally inaccessible area, or that it was a giant sea serpent that would kill you if you swam far into the ocean. However, none of these rumors held water. No 17th Colossus was found when data miners used an editor that let them view and extract the game's assets. Despite this, however, there was actually an element of truth to the hoax. Fumito Ueda, the creator of Shadow of the Colossus, revealed that there were originally going to be 48 monsters in the game, but that number had to be reduced to 24. Ultimately, only 16 made it into the final game, but there were 8 other monsters that were fully conceived before they were removed. Images of them were posted online, and one of the creatures was a boar named Sirius. A skin-looking texture titled Sirius was also found in the game's files, which may explain the origin of the 17th Colossus rumor. Additionally, when hackers explored the game's unfinished areas, they discovered that the top of the Shrine of Worship had no texture mapping or collision detection. This meant players couldn't walk all the way to the top, as rumors claimed. However, in an earlier pre-release version of the game, half of the shrine was fully textured and had patches of solid ground, indicating that the original plan was for players to reach the top. So while the 17th Colossus rumor was hogwash, there were at least some elements of truth to it.